All right, just moments ago, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said he is hopeful all Israeli hostages will be released within days in a 5-minute televised address. He said all of this to his nation. Earlier, we learned Israel has formed a delegation to lead ceasefire talks under President Trump's 20-point peace plan as key negotiators from the U.S. are heading to the region. CNN's Jeremy Diamond and Julia Benbrook are following all these fast-moving developments. Let's get started with Jeremy in Israel. What are you learning?
Well, Fred, we heard the Israeli Prime Minister tonight sounding quite optimistic about the prospects for a deal that would secure the release of all of the hostages and ultimately lead to an end of the war in Gaza. The Israeli Prime Minister tonight saying that he is hopeful that the hostages could potentially be released during the week-long Sukkot holiday, which begins on Monday evening. He said that his efforts are going to be to try and limit the negotiations to just a few days, saying that he doesn't want to allow Hamas the opportunity to drag out those negotiations. Tonight, we saw in Tel Aviv, as well as here in Kiryat Gat, many Israelis who were coming out to ensure that the pressure continues on the Israeli government. In Tel Aviv tonight, we saw tens of thousands of Israelis who flocked to Hostage Square to raise their voices and to ensure that this government follows through with making this deal a reality. We should be very clear, though, that there are a lot of details, and more than just details, but really major sticking points that still need to be resolved between these two sides. Those negotiations are set to take place in Egypt beginning on Monday, where we know that a Hamas delegation is on its way there. Jared Kushner, President Trump's son-in-law, as well as Special Envoy Steve Witkoff are headed there, and an Israeli delegation led by Netanyahu's closest advisor, Ron Dermer, will also travel to Cairo in order to try and complete this negotiation. But we know, of course, that Hamas's positive response to this 20-point plan to end the war, it was positive, but it did include some caveats, and it did not address one of the key issues at the core of this deal, and that is Hamas needing to disarm, Gaza Strip being demilitarized as part of any agreement to end the war in Gaza. And it remains unclear how that gap is going to be bridged by these two sides. But I can tell you from speaking with some of the families of hostages tonight, right here where they held another rally, that there is finally a sense of hope. Cautious hope, without a doubt, but this moment does feel different for many of the families of the hostages who have been waiting nearly 2 years now for their loved ones to be released.
All right, thank you, Jeremy Diamond. All right, Julia in Washington, what are you hearing from the White House?
Well, in a social media post just a couple of hours ago, President Donald Trump said that Israel had temporarily stopped the bombing in order to give the hostage release and the peace plan a chance. In that same post, he warned Hamas that it needed to move quickly toward an agreement, or, quote, all bets will be off. Now, as Jeremy pointed out, there are still a lot of questions as to how or when a lasting peace deal could come together. But we have seen some momentum. President Donald Trump has been clear that this is a goal of his to help bring this conflict to an end. And on Monday, he hosted Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu here at the White House. The two leaders sat down for a bilateral meeting. And then during a joint press conference, Netanyahu expressed support for Trump's 20-point plan. That plan calls for the release of all hostages held by Hamas within 72 hours of an agreement, and it lays out a roadmap for Gaza if the war comes to an end. After being given an ultimatum and a deadline, Hamas said that it would immediately enter negotiations to release those hostages, but stopped short of fully endorsing all 20 points that the Trump administration has laid out. In remarks from the Oval Office following that announcement from Hamas, Trump called this a big day, but he did caution that this is not a done deal, a done peace agreement yet. Take a listen.
This is a big day. We'll see how it all turns out. We have to get the final word down and concrete. Very importantly, I look forward to having the hostages come home to their parents.
And then I want to pull up that social media post that I referenced earlier to read that to you in full. Trump said, quote, "I appreciate that Israel has temporarily stopped the bombing in order to give the hostage release and peace deal a chance to be completed. Hamas must move quickly or else all bets will be off. I will not tolerate delay, which many think will happen, or any outcome where Gaza poses a threat again. Let's get this done fast. Everyone will be treated fairly." Those are the most recent remarks from Trump himself. Fred.
All right, Julia Benbrook, thanks so much.
Been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing.